Obviously, everyone is frustrated about high gas prices right now because of war against Iran. Um, let's look at the big picture. Why this war even happened? Most of the critics of Trump administration are just focusing on the risk of a larger scale conflict, of risk of sending our troops to die in Iran. They're focused on lack of planning for this operation, or perceived lack of planning for this operation. But they try to ignore the fact that previous presidents ignored this problem of an extremist Islamic fundamentalist regime in Tehran that festered. The problem festered for decades, and no one wanted to tackle it because of all these risks of failure, risks of criticism, it's a very sensitive and delicate political issue happening at a very sensitive and delicate time during, in preparation for midterms. So there was always an excuse, and there's still an excuse now not to deal with Iranian regime. I agree with the critics that say, well, Iran didn't threaten us, they didn't plan to attack us. It's the same type of kind of a scam to invent a non-existent threat that happened with Iraq war when we invaded Iraq under false pretext. Iraq never threatened us, and Iraq wasn't developing nuclear weapon. Same thing with Iran, that they didn't directly threaten us. We don't know if they were really developing nuclear weapon or not, whether it was a defensive nuclear weapon or they wanted to attack Israel or something, or I don't know who they wanted to attack. But the bigger picture is this. You can see that it took very small amount of resources for Iran to completely block the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of oil shipping is happening, and the world transportation of oil is happening. And so they had this huge leverage, even if they're being decimated by our missiles and by constant bombardment, if their military is being decimated. But even a small amount of missiles and mobile missile launchers is enough to disrupt the shipping route across the Strait of Hormuz, and pretty much strangulate world trade and cause economic crisis in the world, etc. So this is the question. For all these decades, Iran controlled the Strait of Hormuz, and so instead of nuclear bomb, they used their control over the Strait of Hormuz as a leverage to deter any kind of attack, an invasion, and threat to the regime, to the Iranian extremist Islamic regime. I would say that it's not in our national interest, in the interest of our national security, to allow a hostile regime to maintain control over such a sensitive area like the Strait of Hormuz. So no one wanted to deal with it because of the political risks. Obama made it worse because he even lifted the sanctions over, for the regime, and so it allowed the regime to enrich itself, to kind of solidify its power. No one helped protesters for decades. The Iranian people tried to rise up many times, but no one from abroad tried to help them. And finally, President Trump took a very extremely risky decision, politically risky decision in the year of midterms. He didn't even want to wait until after the midterms to actually attack Iran and attempt to dislodge the regime and attempt to take a control over Hormuz Strait. So the real reason that we attacked Iran, I don't believe it was because they directly threatened us, but it's because it's in our national interest to control the shipping routes for the oil, and not let a hostile regime control those shipping routes. Not just the shipping routes, but we don't want to have a hostile regime in the Middle East that has been destabilizing that area for decades. And they were kicking the can, all these previous presidents, starting with Carter, were kicking the can down the road, trying not to deal with this. Finally, we have President Trump who took this decision, and now he's being criticized, he's being bombarded with criticism from the left, from the right, from everybody. But I feel that we should give him some credit for being so brave and risking his political career, risking losing midterms, risking many things, risking the lives of our troops to resolve the festering problem that nobody else wanted to resolve for decades.